Welcome back, guys, to the Football Biz podcast. As always, I'm Graysen Mortimer. He is Evan McGuire, and we've got a lot to bring you this week. We got some scandals, some things that are kind of in the limelight, as well as some matches to catch up on. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the UCL, the first match being Man City beating BSG Young Boys 3-1. Pretty expected result, I think. I don't think really anybody would bet against City in this one. Manuel Akanji opened the scoring. Young Boys did fight back for a brief moment. They did tie it, but then there was a penalty, which was legitimately a penalty. And then that was converted by Erling Haaland, and then he scored again with his right foot too. Made his own chance. Very nice goal. But easy win for City, and they take all 3 points.
Yeah, no, like you said, nothing really much more I can add. Just young boys had us there for a second, being like, can they, hold City to a draw, or even maybe pick up a win? Because they've had some shock results before, but in the end, City do what they always do. They regroup and they respond. And no other than Erling Haaland to be the one that gets City over the finish line with his brace. So yeah, no, typical business as usual for Man City. They go on to I believe they're top of the group. Are they not,
They
Grayson?
are, yeah.
Well,
Yep,
there
and
you go.
then they got the Manchester Derby this weekend as well. So that's a
That is true.
it's a pretty big game upcoming for them. They're going to be very very much ready for that. They should win that, frankly. United haven't been great, but we'll talk about them in a second. The next game we're going to talk about in the UCL is Borussia Dortmund beating Newcastle 1-0. Goal from Felix Nemeka. Well taken goal. Kind of just low corner shot at it. It was a bit of an interesting one, but Newcastle lose at home. This group is wide open. PSG did beat AC Milan 3-0. Mbappe running the show there. So this group is wide open, and it's really fitting the group of death tag that has been given.
Yeah, no, for sure. Uh, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, but AC Milan are currently last in the group. I do think that they were slightly weaker than the other three teams. I think I did have them last in our predictions video. So
Yeah.
far looking like an absolute genius on that one. But
I I
I
will
do.
I will add though real quick now that you bring that up. I was expecting PSG to win that game. So yeah, I will just say, yeah, no,
No,
they
you you
definitely
you
showed.
you thought Milan would have a chance, and I was like, nah. I even bet on it. They didn't. They didn't screw my bet though. That would be Atletico
Oh
Madrid.
well, no,
So
but
thank
that's what
you
I meant.
guys.
Like I thought Milan was gonna win. Did I say PSG?
You
No.
did say
I
PSG. You thought
I I
Milan was
meant
going to
Milan,
win.
my bad. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
thought Milan was gonna win that.
and they didn't. No, it was a
Yeah,
convincing
no.
3-0 PSG win. It wasn't even close. Yeah, no, Atletico Madrid absolutely dinged me this week, so I'm not happy about that. They did draw Celtic 2-2.
Yep.
But yeah, moving on from those, we're going to go to our final big game that we want to talk about, and that is Manchester United beating FC Copenhagen. This game should not have been even close,
Boy.
but Man U decided to make a potential meal of this game.
Mm,
And their goal was scored by none other than Lord Harry Maguire himself.
yeah.
Oh, wow. I am all here for the Harry Maguire comeback story. I mean, he did almost give away a goal in the first half by
Mm-hmm.
dumbly trying to pass it out from the back. But outside of that, he actually did play a pretty good game. Who didn't play a good game was Scott McTominay because he fouled a guy late in the box. It was a clear cut penalty. But that ended up making Andre Onana the hero because he saved it.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted, really, to say the least. You got the two least most likeliest players to win a game for Manchester United. Harry Maguire with actually a pretty solid header, I will say, from a nice cross, anyway. And then Onana coming up late with a big penalty save. Like Young Kippa says, are we living in a stimulus? Because I don't know what else to say. Like I'm not sure. I mean, I guess a broken clock is right twice a day, really. But I guess this may be the spark that United need in order to make a push for that second place slot because with the Bayern Munich win over Galatasaray, I think it's safe to say they are not getting first place in that group. So really, they're just gonna have to like go into Galatasaray now and somehow just get a win
Get a
there.
win.
But like, first of all, they obviously still have to go to Copenhagen first off, and be able to get the double over them. But that's still even a tough ask because that could have well ended in a draw or even a loss there at Old Trafford. So there's still a lot to be done, but the only place to go from United really here is up.
Yeah. No, they didn't have the most convincing performance, but in the end of the day, they did get it done. I do think that Copenhagen is a tough place to play. It is one that has shocked people before and how that team can play. United should get it done. They should get second in this group. They really should. They did lose to Galatasaray at home, though, so anything is quite
Hmm.
possible. They do have to go to both Gala and Copenhagen away, which are both tough fixtures.
Yep.
And then they got Bayern Munich at home, which I think they're going to lose, candidly.
Yep.
Bayern Munich is by and far the best team in this group, and it's not even
Hmm.
close. They convincingly beat Galatasaray, and it wasn't even a contest. Musiala running the show there again. I mean, he's just. I saw a poll recently, and it was Phil Foden or Jamal Musiala, and I was like, as a City fan, I got to pick Musiala. I mean, he
Hmm.
is without a doubt one of the best talents out there. And if only England weren't stupid, they could have had both with Jude Bellingham. Their midfield would have been disgusting for the next few years to come. And they still got Jude, they still got Foden, they got Declan Rice, they got a good midfield, but
They do.
imagine their midfield with Musiala. I mean, that would just be just tormenting for whatever team they play. They would win a European trophy at the minimum. They'd win the Euros.
They'd
But
have to win the Euros.
oh, easily. But that aside, Bayern Munich easily winning this group, not even a contest. But yeah, no, Onana, I think, is gonna get a confidence boost from saving that pen. He is,
You sure?
without a doubt, a top keeper, but he's had a terrible start at United. It's not even
Yes.
been close. He's been bad.
Yes. Stinkers. Stinkers
Oh, he's
after
been terrible.
stinkers.
Yeah, but I think this will give him a confidence boost. And despite the fact that can't really root for United, I can root for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I think his stint with International went pretty well, got them to the Champions League final, but obviously they only lost because of a Rodri banger, but that's an okay way to lose, honestly. But again, if he finds his form, then United, like I said, only way to go up, there's only way to go up. Up, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know what I'm even saying anymore. But the thing is, he does have some tough fixtures coming up. Like again, Manchester Derby is coming up. That's a tough one, even though it is at Old Trafford. And then obviously, then you will have the next two Champions League games being away. You have to go to Copenhagen. That's a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. And even then, they have to go to Galatasaray. Like going to Turkey in itself, that's just extremely hostile. That is a tough situation to go. I've mentioned this also with our group predictions as well. Like I even pretty much practically called that Galatasaray could cause an upset on Man United, and they already have. Although I did say it would come at their home, but they did it away. They did it
yeah.
away. So definitely they could nonetheless get the double over United. I would not be surprised one bit if they do manage to get a result there at home versus them. And if they do get a result, United can kiss the Champions League goodbye because they're going to Europa at least. Like they could like still even not get Europa, which is insane to me.
Yeah, no, it is because they do only have 3 points right now, so it is possible, but that remains to be seen. I do think that Copenhagen will lose to the other two teams in the group, so it could be a battle for third, could be a battle for second for United. They're not getting first. Bayern Munich has that tied up, but
Oh yeah, that's done.
I do think that it's going to be competitive in this group, way more than it should be. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's all we really need to say about that. I do think that United have an uphill battle, but we will see. We'll move on to the Prem. We got 3 games to talk about. The first one being Man City beating Brighton 2-1. It was a pretty straightforward win, but the one thing is Manuel Akanji did get sent off. There's been a lot of red cards in the league this week, and
There
that goes for
has.
the Europa today as well. There were tons. Gyökeres for Sporting CP got sent off. Akanji over the weekend. Ashley Young over the weekend, as well as there was a player on Sturmgrass who also got sent off today. There's been a lot of reds, and it's been
Hmm.
an interesting week. And so shockingly, Sergio Ramos didn't get one, and Antonio Rudiger didn't get one
No,
in La
yeah,
Liga. I mean, they had that huge clash, which we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, it's been a few Reds. There were four in the Prem this weekend, and it was just an absolutely crazy turn of events. But City did get the win over Brighton, one that they really needed. Rodri back in the team definitely helped. They're a completely different team when he plays. Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland did get the goals, and Ansu Fati did score for Brighton. So he did score again in the Europa as well. He's finally having a decent resurgence. Hopefully, he can stay fit. But yeah, Akanji getting sent off definitely hurts, as he is one of the crucial players in City's backline. But I think they'll be able to cope without him.
yeah. No, I mean, sure, he still put in a decent performance, like again in the Champions League. He can still play there. Got a goal anyway. So like once he comes back, should be smooth sailing again for City, but they just have to cope until now. But no, again, yeah, surprisingly, a lot of red cards this past week. I don't know what's gone into that. I guess just lack of discipline, really. Or even then, I still haven't seen some of the games to like really determine if all of them were fair reds. Because again, we can still say that there is some referee bias as well. Because like heck, even like some of the Everton fans are complaining that Ashley Young got sent off as if they still weren't playing all that well. It's funny enough, some of them were saying, that they want to have a replay. But again, I think that's the least of their worries right now. But we'll get to that at a later time in this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis Cook deserved his red card. He literally headbutted a guy. You're never going to get away with that. And yeah, I do think that there's lack of discipline here and there for certain players. Ashley Young's one that I think caught me off guard because he's typically a very disciplined player wherever he plays. I didn't get a chance to see Connor Roberts for Burnley, but in the end of the day, yeah, it is part of the game, and there were a lot. And the Europa was another example. There were a couple in that as well. But moving on from City to Liverpool, they did win the Merseyside derby 2-0, late Mo Salah penalty to go along with another goal that was scored in that game. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, it was a convincing win for them. They played a good game. I mean, Liverpool always won the Merseyside derby. There was no doubt about that. I would have predicted them every time to win this, even though, I mean, especially at Anfield. I mean, they're going to win that game every time. The goal was scored. Oh, Mo Salah scored the other one
Yeah,
too. He
Salah
scored the
scored the brace because Nunes. I can take it from here
Yeah,
if you like.
go ahead.
No, that beautiful second goal was off the counter attack at the end of the game. Nunes took it all the way up the field. Salah got in a nice scoring position and just banged it past Pickford and making him cry once again, like always. But yeah, no, honestly, we probably should have scored more in fairness, because even my dad said it, like we were trying to walk the ball in at some points, even though we had pretty much all the possession. So that's just the one negative thing. Nonetheless, is we did get a win, and we are still keeping our top four hopes alive, and Everton are still fighting relegation. And like I said, we will talk about that soon enough.
Yeah, no, we will, and it's just Liverpool convincing that whole game. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but yeah, Salah scoring both. It was huge. The last game we're going to talk about for the Prem today is Luton Town. They were able to draw against Nottingham Forest despite being down 2-0. They had a late comeback in this game. It was one that definitely I think might give them some hope, but in the end of the day, it was against a fellow potential relegation candidate. But Luton Town is currently outside of the drop. They have 5 points. They did beat Everton, so
Mm-hmm.
it is possible that they keep that survival hope up. But they got a lot of work to do. Only 9 games have been played. There's 38 across
They
the
do.
season. They have a long way to go. Forest have 10 points, but yeah, it's definitely going to be tight at the bottom. Brentford are still in there too. Everton, of course, and then the bottom three. I mean, I think at this point we can say Sheffield United's convincingly going down. I guess it's only been
They're
9 games.
screwed. They're
I get they've
screwed.
only played 9 games. They've lost 8 of them. They lost to Man U this
They
weekend.
have 1 point. One
Yeah,
point.
one point from 9 games. They're just done. They're not
They
they're
are
not staying.
going for the Derby record. They are going for it genuinely. Like I need to take a look at their schedule to fully analyze and make this proper prediction of could they actually go for the Derby record. But honestly, right now, only having 1 point at this point in the season, that is insane. Like even like I don't know, I don't have like the specific stats, but like I just remember from a while ago they were comparing the relegation teams to right now, and they already had like fairly almost close to like double digit points. But
Well,
Sheffield on one, my word.
yeah, and they've lost to Nottingham Forest, who is also in that race. They have yet to play Luton,
Hmm.
and then their 1 point that they did pick up was against Everton, who aren't good as well. So yeah, Sheffield may have some issues, but that being said, Luton are currently above the drop. They played a very convincing match, and I think they've got some positives to build on. Hopefully, Rob Edwards is able to continue that.
Well, look, like I said before the start of the season, I genuinely believe that this team had the fight in them to stay up, and so far they've shown it. Even in the games that they've lost, like they've lost some tight games, and even then they've had some harsh goals been conceded against them. Again, against the likes of West Ham. Even in the game, like the first game against Brighton, like I thought they played okay up until the very end where they gave away that stupid goal because the defender just knocked it off and gave it right to him. But again, this team actually does have some kind of fight. If they can keep scrapping some points against these lower teams, then by all means, they should be able to survive. And even then, with Sheffield, they might not even be last place come very soon. Like I said, we got some juicy stuff to talk about next.
Yeah, no, I mean they're bad though. They're
They're
terrible.
bad.
They are an
They're very
atrocious
bad.
outfit. They shouldn't be in this league. But that being said, yeah,
Hmm.
we'll move on to one more game, and then we can talk a little bit more about some big headlines that are currently going on. And that one game that we're going to talk about is Real Madrid tying Sevilla, 1-1. And the main reason I want to talk about this is because of Sergio Ramos and Antonio Rudiger. The two guys, I mean, these are two large dudes. They are two very imposing defenders in their own right. One's a
Hmm.
Real Madrid legend, one's a Real Madrid current player. And they looked at each other and were ready to go. I mean, they were ready to go at it. I mean, the game had ended 1-1. Carvajal scoring for Madrid and an Alaba own goal, but like the fact that Rudiger was laughing in Ramos's face, I mean, the cojones on this guy. I mean, it's insane. I will give Tony Rudiger full props because Ramos doesn't take crap from anybody, and I mean Rudiger was ready to go for it. So kudos to them.
I can only imagine watching that really though. Like I did not have the opportunity to watch this, so I can't really like give my full take. But just imagining that though, that is pretty funny. I guess Ramos was just trying to, just still say I still got it in me, Madrid. I could still play at my top game right now if I really wanted to. But no, that is pretty wild though. I will say.
Yeah, like Rudiger is, I would say in the current state probably the better defender, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
obviously.
but yeah, but Ramos is still out there. I think he kind of showed everybody that despite the fact he hasn't been sent off in a little bit,
Yeah.
everyone is reminded of who he is and what he can do. He's not afraid to step up for a teammate or get in somebody's way. But that'll move it for do it for games this week. Not too many we wanted to talk about. The Europa, of course, was big.
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool had a game today. You
One
thought
five
Nunez
one.
was trying. You thought Nunez was trying to pass. I thought he was trying to score.
Oh, that's a debate for another day. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, really. It looked like he was looking over. He's been very, very unselfish in fairness. Like we can even talk about with that pass to Salah to score the goal in the Merseyside derby. Like he could have honestly scored that himself if he really wanted to.
Yeah,
But look, nonetheless, if he did miss it or whether or not, a goal is a goal. We still scored it anyway. He still got us in that position to score it. So haters can say, "Oh, he keeps missing," blah 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 blah. But yeah, he's still contributing to goals. So I'm just gonna do his typical celebration and just do this.
yeah. No, he's been good. He's stepped up this year, and I think that he had to. He wasn't bad last year by any means, but
No,
he definitely, I think, got a lot of criticism because of the amount of money that Liverpool spent on him. But he's having a bit of a good second year, and I think he'll come good in the end. He's definitely improving on what he couldn't do last year. So I think it's big for him. But yeah, as for him trying to score or not, yeah, we can talk about that eventually. But yeah, moving into our big headliners this week. The first one we're going to talk about is Everton. It came out recently that there was a potential report that they have mismanaged their finances. According to goal.com, they had losses over a about a 3 year period, I believe,
Yep.
where they spent overspent by 371 million pounds, and basically the way that this is putting it is clubs are only allowed to lose 105. So they more than tripled that amount, the amount that they're legally allowed to lose a season. And similar instances have happened in the English leagues. Reading did the same thing. They got a point deduction. Derby County did a similar thing. They got a point deduction. Everton's in that same position. Now they haven't really pumped a lot of money into the club. That's been a problem, and they've overspent.
They're building a new stadium as well.
Yeah, the stadium is a problem there for them because they are replacing Goodison. Everton have some problems. They got some issues going forward, and if they are found guilty of whatever is going on here, they could get deducted 12 points. They currently have 7 through 9 games. So
Negative
if they
five
get those 12 points deducted, they're at -5. That
below
would put them below
Sheffield.
Sheffield United, who we just
That's
talked about.
insane.
They are horrible. Sheffield United is the worst team in the Prem by a country mile, and Everton could be below them. The fact that this happened is just insane to me. I mean, we talked about City a while back, and whatever could come of that, but Chelsea it happened to, and now
Hmm.
it's happening to Everton. I don't know how this happens. I really don't.
Well, in fairness, Chelsea, I don't think got a point deduction. I can't
They
remember
got the
them.
UCL. They got the transfer ban.
Yeah, yeah, they had the transfer ban, but like they didn't get hit with like this kind of allegation, especially in the position that Everton are in right now. It's not looking good. It's very grim. Although I will say, like they should have been relegated a while ago. So like, as a Liverpool fan, it would be pretty funny to finally see them go down. In fairness, but like in an all serious way though, if they do go down and like they are hit with like this 12-point deduction, like it only just makes themselves worse because they lose all that Premier League revenue and they're gonna have to deal with the parachute payments and then they're gonna lose all like their actual main fair squad that's really left or wants to stay rolling with them because obviously they'll have their relegation clauses be activated and most of them will probably just leave. So then they're gonna have to like find new players that are gonna be willing to like go down with this sinking ship because I really I don't see who would genuinely want to like join Everton at this point because like again they're just not in a like stable position right now and like if they are get relegated it'll be even worse. Like they'd have to like call up pretty much academy players and like again that just doesn't sound good to me either because they'll probably then struggle in the championship then too, not to mention they'll have to adjust to the new stadium as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like even with Goodison being gone they won't be the same, the atmosphere won't be the same either. And I don't really know what else to say. I feel like they could see themselves maybe getting a back-to-back relegation then if that's the case too. Like this is not good if they are found guilty nonetheless. And in a way it will be sad because then we won't have the Merseyside derby. But really at this point it's just it's I
It's
think
a free
for
win
the
for
sake
Liverpool at this point. I mean, you guys love the
yeah.
Merseyside derby.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really not even close anymore. I can't even really call it a proper derby because it's just not that competitive. It's just tradition at this point.
yeah, yeah, I do think that it's a bad look for Everton. It's a bad look for the Premier League, and it's a bad look for all their players. I mean, guys like Pickford, Onana, Decore, Tarkovsky probably
They're all
won't
gone.
stay. No, they'd all leave.
They'd
Um,
all be gone. Even Dyche would probably leave at that point too.
that remains up for question. It depends. I do see Dyche potentially staying with them because he did stay with Burnley when Burnley went down. Obviously, completely different circumstances, that were
That's what I'm
in his own
saying.
power. But
Would he want to deal with the board and all that? I don't think he would because even then he was calling them out on the final day when they did stay up because they're like, we can't keep doing this. So
Yeah,
I don't
no, they
know.
can't. They can't, and that's part of their problem is that they've just continued to barely hang on for dear life. The last good season Everton had was under Roberto Martinez, where they got fifth. That was before all this, went
Even then,
down.
Ancelotti got him 10th. Like
Yeah,
that was a
Ancelotti got them
miracle.
10th. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
season for them too when James Rodriguez was there. But I do think it's not a good look for the whole league because if you're, well, if one of your big traditional teams, which let's face it, Everton is a pretty
They are, of
traditional Premier League team.
course.
When one of your teams is doing that, it's a problem. It's a big issue and something that the league I think has to take a better stance on when it comes to ownership because this pretty much falls on the owners. It's their fault.
Yeah.
It's their fault that this is happening. And yeah, I know that they recently sold the team. I want to say, but even then, it's a problem, and this happened years ago.
Hmm.
So it's not a good look, and I do hope that Everton are able to rebound. I hope they're able to not go down, but we'll see what happens.
It's not
Um,
looking good.
yeah,
Like,
their owner did just agree to sell 94% of the club, so.
oh, did he? Okay.
He is trying to generate some revenue for the team. But I mean, Anthony Gordon's transfer out might help them a little bit, as that was about 50 mil. They're gonna have to sell some other guys if they are found guilty. They're gonna have to sell some guys, and I think there are some players in that team that'll get some decent revenue. I think Decore would go for about 20 to 30 mil. Pickford could potentially go for about 20. Uh, Amadou Onana is a pretty big prospect. He'll demand a bit of money. So there are guys in that team that I think could help, but to your point, they'd have to restock. And I do hope for their sake that they're able to overcome this, but that remains to be seen, and we'll see what comes of this, and then future cases, including Manchester City.
But yeah, I just want to add one more thing just before like we move off the topic. Like if it really gets to that point where like they are hit with like 12-point deduction and all that, and they do go down, like I again I said it'll be a rough hole, but like they could honestly be like Rangers where they could be liquidated to a certain extent if like they really don't turn this around enough. Like seriously, like they might like just go under completely.
They could, yeah, and I'm surprised that the likes of Reading and Derby haven't. I mean, their ownership's poor, and yeah, they haven't done a great job at remaining in that in the championship. They've had point deductions the last 2 years. So yeah, I think it's quite possible that could happen. That we can never take anything off the table.
Yeah.
Rangers, I think, did the right thing when they did do
Hmm.
that. Parma in Italy did the same thing, and these teams have since rebounded. Parma's now back in Serie A. Rangers has won a Scottish league since they've come back.
Yeah.
So clearly the name is still there for these teams, and people have gotten behind them. But yeah,
Well, there is different money involved. Like obviously, like they don't have like the same kind of access to money that Everton currently has. Like this is Premier League revenue that we're talking about right now. And if they have that cut off, that's it. Just parachute payments. They only have like a certain attempts to get back up, or they're screwed. Because then their wage bill and all that just goes like
well,
that.
yeah. I mean, if they started over, they'd probably start non-league. They'd probably start in the fifth division where Wrexham
Yeah.
were. So somebody that would have a ripple effect. So somebody would go up each league,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would just go all the way down. But yeah, it is possible. I'm not going to rule it out, but we'll see what comes of Everton. And for their sake, for their fans, I know you're obviously a Liverpool fan, but
Mm-hmm.
I think for their fans' sake, I hope it's not true. They didn't deserve this.
Yeah.
They don't deserve their team, frankly. I mean, that team has been terrible the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, and I think that's all we really got to say with that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I've said everything I need to.
we got two more main topics we're going to talk about today. The first one we kind of touched upon last week. Sandro Tonali, Newcastle player, was just signed over the last summer. He's been banned 10 months. He got a
That
10-month
is tough.
suspension handed down to him today by FIFA, including a giant class that he has to take. I think it's a 7 or 8 month class that he has to take in order to get reinstated because of his betting issues. This is unfortunate. It's again, we talked about it last week a little bit. I've done sports betting myself, but it's it's something that you can't do as a professional because you're part of the game, and it's something that is unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And we've seen similar charges been placed down on the likes of Ivan Toney on Fagioli and Juventus. So yeah, Tonali's agent even admitted he had a gambling problem. And yeah, it's bad. I hope he's able to come out of this stronger than ever. He is a world class player. He was running that Newcastle midfield. They're gonna have to cope with Sean Longstaff for more of the year now.
Mm-hmm.
God help them. To be fair, he's been good, but he's been good this season. But even then, like he's not Tonali, and it is unfortunate that this has happened to him. AC Milan, they're feeling like $1 million right now.
Mm-hmm.
They sold a guy for 70 million, I believe it was euros, to a team that has so far gotten 7 or 8 games out of him, and that's it for the
Yep.
year. For the year, he's done for the season. He'll be back next year, hopefully. But yeah, not a good look for him. Not a good look for the team. Newcastle has already released statements saying that they're behind him. But yeah, it's not really what you want to see.
AC Milan dodged a bullet big time. They
Oh,
dodged one of the biggest bullets
they
there could
didn't
be.
just dodge a bullet; they shot the bullet. Newcastle
Yeah.
took the bullet. AC Milan had their
Yeah.
trigger loaded and were like, "Hey, here's Tonali." Newcastle
They,
took
they
the
they
bullet.
definitely knew. They knew something that we didn't.
I
They
think
knew
they
it.
did. Yeah,
I,
I
I
have
think they
every
did
reason to
too.
believe it.
Without a doubt in my head, it makes perfect sense to me. It's a conspiracy theory, but it's one that adds up. But nonetheless, Newcastle got absolutely screwed over. They got screwed. Luckily for them, they are still a big Saudi oil money club, so like it won't be as bad really. But that's with their positioning right now in the league, trying to like fight their way back up the table, this just hurts their chances really. Even then, trying to like play and get out of the group of death in the Champions League. Yeah, already right now we've seen them lose to Dortmund at home, and now just losing Tonali is just the punch in the below the belt, I guess to say on
Yeah,
here. It's
yeah.
just a bad feeling to have, really. I can't imagine being a Newcastle fan right now.
No, me neither. It would suck. I personally think that this is gonna have a ripple effect on their team, knowing that one of their best players, a guy that has come in and lit the place on fire. He not only lit the place on fire, he's now burning the whole building. I mean,
I
it's
was gonna
it's
say
not
he's
good.
cooking,
It's
burning
not
the whole
good.
dish.
Yeah. Let Tonali cook. It's like letting Russell Wilson cook this season. It's
Yeah.
collapsing. Luckily for Newcastle, they do still have some good depth in midfield. Joe Willock hasn't come back yet. When he does, they'll be okay. He is a good player. They do have the likes of Joelinton. They do have Sean Longstaff. They do have, I think Jacob Murphy can drop back a little bit if needed. So they do have some midfield depth at least. Oh, and of course Bruno Guimaraes. How can I forget about him? They have a good midfield even without Tonali, but the level. I mean, as good as Sean Longstaff has been this year, he is not Tonali, and it's unfortunate to say because I actually do rate Sean Longstaff. I do think he's those Man United things did ruin his career for a little bit, and he's just since had a resurgence. But Tonali's the outside of maybe Guimaraes, he's easily the best midfielder on the team. So yeah, this hurts. This absolutely hurts Newcastle, and I hope that they're able to cope with it, cope with the multiple competitions that they're in. But it's a tough one. It's definitely a tough one.
Yeah, they're gonna have to figure out what would be the best way forward now and who plays in what position. I mean, do they change up the squad that much, or do they just like slip in, like you said? I guess Longstaff would be maybe their best bet. I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kamara's and Joelinton are locks in that midfield as long as they're
Yeah.
healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Longstaff when Joe Willett comes back. I think you mix him in, um, and then yeah, they'll have to find maybe some youth products or some academy guys, um, or somebody who in the squad who's versatile. That's how they found Joelinton. They didn't realize Joelinton
Yeah.
was a center mid, and then they dropped him deep because he was abysmal at striker. They
Mm.
turned Joe Linton from, I mean, Eddie Howe deserves full credit for this, but the guy turned Joe Linton from a 40 million bust of a striker to, oh, this 40 million well spent in center midfield. Like, he's phenomenal. He's amazing. He's got that Brazilian flair with Bruno. But that aside, I mean, they don't have their buddy now. They don't have Tonali for 10 months. It is going to hurt, but hopefully he's back. Hopefully he comes back stronger. And to him, I do wish him well. I do hope he's able to get
Yeah.
over his addiction and come back even stronger.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's rough to see a player of his caliber have to sit out for that long because like being out that long, I mean, that could really like affect your a career big time. Like, say when he does have the chance to come back, will he even be the same caliber player like he is right now? I don't know. That's a hard one really to determine because he's
Remains to
got
be
a
seen.
long way back while also trying to maintain the same physicality and just the same the same form that he has. I guess it would be the best way to word it. If he's able to maintain that, then I mean, he hopefully then he's able to come back just as better than he is right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's all we really need to say about that. But to Tonali again, we wish you well, man. We got one more thing to talk about today, and then I think we are good to wrap it up. But Ajax. We're going to talk about Ajax for a little bit. Now, we haven't really covered the Dutch league that much on the football biz, unfortunately, but they played today. They lost to Brighton. I mean, Brighton's a good team, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but it
fair.
highlights just how far Ajax have fallen right now.
Hmm.
They have a caretaker manager. They did fire their coach.
They did.
And yeah, to put it into perspective, Ajax is one of the most distinguishable clubs in the entire world, not just in the Dutch league, but they're
Hmm.
a global entity. They are a global entity.
Four
They've
Champions League
developed
titles.
they've
Four,
developed four, yeah,
yep.
four
And they won
UCLs.
a treble.
Yeah, they have. Um, they've developed some of the best players in the world. I mean, the likes of Johan Cruyff came from Ajax. Even nowadays, you got De Ligt, De Jong, uh, not Van Alden, he was PSV. Ziyech was from that team. Andre Onana, who we talked about earlier, was from the Ajax team. They've developed some guys. And then when you go back in the day, the likes of Clarence Seedorf, Ruud Gullit, these guys played for Ajax. And Ajax currently, they have games in hand on the teams above them,
Of
but
course, yes.
they've played 7 games. They have 1 win, 2 draws, and 4 losses. They're in 17th out of 18 teams in the Dutch league. That's unacceptable. It is straight up unacceptable for a team with that much prestige to be in that position is just terrible. And it's not like they don't have good players. They still have good players. But it's a mess. To put
And
it
let
in
me just
perspective.
and let me just add their next two opponents. Guess what their next two opponents are? You will not believe this.
Feyenoord and PSV.
Yeah, no, no, they got PSV, who is
Oh,
top of the table,
yeah.
and then they got Volendam, which is bottom of the table.
So they have a chance at a win.
Well, it's just funny because it's like first they're having to play the top team, and then they're doing the relegation battle. Then right after, that's just very very fun to
Yeah.
me.
No, I mean, but to go over some of the players that this team has, I mean, Steven Bergwijn is still there. He's their captain. This guy played for Spurs not too long ago. He's a good player. Geronimo Rulli, established goalkeeper for Real Sociedad for a bit. And I don't recognize a ton of the names on here, to be fair. But Steven Berghuis, of course, he's a regular Dutch international. But regardless, even if I don't know many of these names, Arsenal reject Chuba Akpom, but there's guys in this team that just
Yeah,
they can get it done. Like Steven Bergwijn alone should be, a guy that just radiates energy with this team. I mean, he's fast, he's skilled, but I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how this happens. I really don't. And
yeah,
it's a shame.
me
It's a
neither.
shame for a team that is this good to just fall. I mean, again, we mentioned some of the guys. I mean, if I keep going, Frank de Boer and his brother both played here. Um, there's so many. I'm just looking at the list here now. Like, there's so many. Felipe Luis was a big player. Donny Van de Beek, like I obviously haven't heard his name too much for Man U, but
Hmm?
Anthony as well. Just sold 2 years ago. Edson Alvarez to West Ham.
Yeah,
Like all of these guys have come through the Ajax team, and the fact
yeah,
that they're
we can talk about that. Like, even then, like with their manager Ten Hag, I mean, they had that amazing run in the Champions League back in 2019.
yeah,
A brilliant team. You didn't mention that.
they almost made
Then
the
we can talk.
final.
They
They
were
almost
so
made the
close to the final.
final. They
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 were gonna
were
play
a,
the
a
final.
Lucas Moura hat trick away from
Yeah,
making the final against Liverpool. They would have
yeah.
faced Liverpool, and I'm not gonna lie, with how much quality was in that Ajax team, they could have beat you. They would have put up more of a
They
fight
could
than
have. They
Tottenham
would
did.
have actually given us a better run. I feel like than
Oh,
Tottenham.
easily, easily. Tottenham is not made for Europe. They're just not. But yeah, Ajax is. You guys have 6 Champions Leagues now. They've got 4.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that far behind you.
They're not.
Um, they're European royalty. And that's why we're talking about this team. Because, yeah, again, Van de Beek, De Jong, De Ligt, Onana, Ziyech, Dusan Tadic, like all of these guys were in that team. And yeah, they were filthy. I don't
Yeah.
know how you go from that, almost making a UCL, being a historic club, to relegation fighting.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention too, they won 4 years in a row up until the 2022 season, and like even then they still got like what third last season. It's insane.
Yeah. I don't get how a team that has had just such prestige falls this far. I mean, it's a shame. I don't understand. I've said it countless times now, but I just don't get it. Like they've got 38, 36 Eredivises, 20 Dutch Cups. And yeah, they've dominated the Dutch league for years upon years. I mean, they were founded 123 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've won Champions Leagues. I don't know.
We could go on forever, but it's not going to change the fact that they're still 17th. I mean,
Yeah,
again, I feel like they're going to lose the PSV, and then obviously they got the mid off or
which they
like
should
the
win. Which they should win. Oh, it's not even a mid off
SHIT
right now.
off.
It's a bottom off.
Yeah.
I get it. They did lose some crucial players in the offseason. I mean, Edson Alvarez went to West Ham, Tadic left. Anthony left a couple years ago, and I get it. Lissandro Martinez left. But even then, I mean, Ajax's youth system is good enough to replace these guys. And they just haven't. They just haven't. They haven't done it. And looking at the UEFA rankings of the team, they're 17th in UEFA. That's all of Europe. This
Yeah.
team is ranked 17th. That's the position of the table they're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it. They have to turn it around. I mean, for a team like
Honestly, yeah.
this, they just have to turn it around. And I really hope they do. I don't really follow the Dutch league that closely, if I'm being completely honest, but
Same here.
but every football fan should know who Ajax is.
Of course.
Um, and their chairman Edwin van der Sar, who is a Man U legend, he did have to leave his post. He did unfortunately have some health problems, but yeah, I don't know how they're able to come back from this, but um, I really hope that they're able to turn it around and restore themselves to what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a shame, but they still have a chance to make right. I mean, still very early in the season, so we can't make too much judgments just yet.
Yeah. And before we go, we do have one more thing I forgot to mention at the top of the episode. Rest in peace to Sir Bobby Charlton,
Oh
one of the
yeah,
best players to ever grace the game. Both of our team, we support the rival teams of his club,
of course.
but I mean, this guy's arguably the best English player ever. He won the Ballon d'Or. He won the World Cup with England. Survived the Munich air disaster, which in its own is an absolutely phenomenal thing.
Yeah.
And he lived to be 86.
Yeah.
Even though I am a City fan, and even though you're a Liverpool fan, there are Man United players that I just have the utmost respect for.
Of course.
and guys that, just change the game. And
Hmm.
Sir Bobby Charlton was one of those guys that changed the game forever. Um, and it hurts me as a football fan that he passed away. We've lost some greats recently. Pele being the biggest one, but
Hmm.
you know, Sister Bobby, I mean, generational talent. Him and his brother won the World Cup with some phenomenal players in that England team. Bobby Moore, of course, being the captain. But Bobby Charlton, you will forever be missed. You lived a good life. And to for every football fan, I think I can speak for each individual one. We will miss you, and rest in the sweetest peace, my good man.
Agreed. Legend of the game. I mean, both Charlton's phenomenal. I mean, even his brother Jack Charlton, love him
Was
anyway.
also good.
He's one of our own. Coached Ireland as well. Had that amazing Italian 90 run. May they both rest in peace now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sir Bobby was a great talent, and one that I think changed the game forever in the best ways that he possibly could. So um, yeah, definitely our condolences to him, everyone that he was affected, and to Man United as a whole. Um, I think a bit of him was in Onana saving that penalty.
Yeah.
I think Onana, maybe felt something and was like,
Same with
"Hey,
Harry. Same with Harry Maguire. I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely,
both the most unlikely now I think about it. Yeah, that is
yeah."
a good way to put it.
I think the team has felt that loss, and it's something that I think that they can, of course, use as motivation to we're playing for Bobby. But that aside, I mean, football aside, Bobby Charlton was a phenomenal dude as well, and yeah, as I said, he will be missed, and he is an absolute legend of the game. But that will end it for us this week. We talked a lot about the UCL. We talked a little bit about some Prem in the Liga, but then we really tied it in with three big things that have happened this week. Everton, having a potential scandal on their hands. They could go down. We'll see. They could have a
Maybe
point deduction. We talked about Sandro Tonali, being suspended for 10 months, which is an absolute loss for Newcastle, an absolute gain for AC Milan. And of course, we talked about Ajax. We had to talk about them. They are an absolute disaster right now. Really hope they're able to rebound, but yeah, it's one that I definitely hope they're able to rebound from. As always, I am Grayson Mortimer,
I'm Evan Maguire.
and we'll see you next time.